Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real tonight. Everybody in this room wants success. Everybody wants a better life, more money, peace of mind, confidence, respect. And let me be honest with you, wishing for it don't make it happen. Praying for it without working for it don't make it happen. Talking about it don't make it happen. The thing that separates the people who want a better life from the people who actually get a better life is one word: discipline. See, discipline ain't sexy. Ain't nobody waking up excited about discipline. Discipline is doing what you don't feel like doing when you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway because you know where you're trying to go. That's the part people don't like. They want the reward, but they don't want the routine. They want the blessing, but they don't want the burden. But life don't work like that. Discipline is the bridge between your dreams and your reality. You can have the biggest vision in the world, but without discipline, it's just a fantasy. Discipline is what gets you up when your bed feels better than your goals. Discipline is what makes you say no to distractions when everybody else is having fun. Discipline is what keeps you focused when quitting feels easier than continuing. Let me tell you, this motivation comes and goes. You're not always going to feel motivated. Some days you're tired. Some days you're discouraged. Some days you feel like you're making no progress. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline don't care about your feelings. Discipline says, we're going anyway. And that's why disciplined people win, because they don't rely on feelings. They rely on commitment. You know why discipline will change your life? Because discipline changes your habits. And when your habits change, your life changes. What you do every day matters more than what you do once in a while. Little disciplined actions done consistently will outperform big efforts done occasionally. That's how people quietly build success while everybody else is still talking. Discipline also builds self-respect. When you start keeping promises to yourself, your confidence grows. You start trusting yourself. You start believing in yourself. And when you believe in yourself, you walk different, you talk different, you move different. The world starts responding to you differently, not because you got lucky, but because you got discipline. Let me say this clearly: discipline will cost you something. It will cost you comfort. It will cost you excuses. It will cost you some people who don't understand your focus. But the price of discipline is always cheaper than the price of regret. Regret lasts a lifetime. Discipline just hurts for a moment. And here's the good news: discipline don't require talent. Discipline don't care where you came from. Discipline don't ask about your past mistakes. Discipline is available to everybody in this room right now. You don't need a new year, a new month, or a perfect moment. You need a decision. If you get disciplined with your time, your finances, your mindset, your health, and your effort, your life will start changing in ways you can't even explain. Opportunities will find you. Doors will open. Favor will show up. Not because you're special, but because you stayed disciplined when it was hard. So if you're tired of starting over, get disciplined. If you're tired of being stuck, get disciplined. If you're tired of watching other people win, get disciplined. Discipline will take you places motivation never will. Remember this: the life you want is on the other side of discipline. Ladies and gentlemen, let me slow this thing down and tell you the truth about discipline, because most people misunderstand it. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's not about being robotic. Discipline is about doing what must be done even when every part of you says, I don't feel like it. That's it. That's the whole thing right there. Discipline starts the moment your feelings try to take control and you decide they're not driving today. See, feelings are dangerous. Feelings will lie to you. Feelings will tell you to stay in bed because you're tired. Feelings will tell you to quit because it's hard. Feelings will tell you to eat what you shouldn't eat, spend what you shouldn't spend, and say what you shouldn't say. If you let your feelings run your life, your life will always be out of control. Discipline is what steps in and says, I hear how you feel, but we got a plan. Doing what must be done means understanding that success don't care about your mood. Your dreams don't pause because you had a bad day. Your goals don't get smaller because you're uncomfortable. Life rewards effort, not excuses. Discipline is the ability to show up anyway, show up tired, show up scared, show up unsure, show up on days when nobody clapping for you. Because those are the days that count the most. Most people wait to feel ready. Let me tell you something, you ain't never gonna feel ready. There will always be a reason not to do it. Discipline says you move before you feel ready. You move while you're scared. You move while you doubt in yourself. And as you move, confidence catches up to you. Confidence is not something you wait for, it's something you earn through disciplined action. Doing what must be done also means sacrifice. Ain't no way around it. You're gonna have to give up some comfort to get something better. You're gonna have to say no to some good things to get the great thing. Discipline is choosing long-term satisfaction over short-term pleasure. It's choosing the pain of effort instead of the pain of regret. One hurts now, the other hurts forever. Let me tell you something else. Discipline is a form of self-love. I know people don't talk about it like that, but it is. When you discipline yourself, you're telling yourself, I matter. My future matters. My purpose matters. You're not punishing yourself. You're protecting yourself from the life you'll regret later. That's love. And here's the part people don't like, hearing nobody coming to save you. Nobody. Not your friends, not your family, not the internet. You have to get disciplined with your own life. You have to hold yourself accountable when nobody's watching. Because the real work happens in private. The real progress happens when nobody sees you grinding, studying, practicing, praying, and pushing through. Every disciplined choice strengthens you. Every time you do it must be done, even though you didn't feel like it, you become a little tougher, a little sharper, a little more focused. Over time, that adds up. You start becoming the kind of person who can be trusted with success, because success requires consistency, and consistency requires discipline. If you want a different life, you got to live differently. That means some mornings you get up early when your body says sleep. Some evenings you work when your mind says relax. Some days you push when quitting feels easier. That's not punishment, that's preparation. Discipline is not about one big decision. It's about 1,000 small ones. It's about choosing effort today, again tomorrow, and again the next day. And if you can master doing what must be done, even when you don't feel like it, life will start responding to you in ways you never imagined. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something about motivation, because people put way too much faith in it. Motivation is a feeling, and feeling change. Some days you wake up inspired, ready to conquer the world. Other days you wake up tired, frustrated, and wondering why you even started. If your whole life is built on motivation, your life will be unstable, because motivation don't show up every day. Discipline does. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. Discipline don't need excitement. Discipline don't need applause. Discipline don't need perfect conditions. Discipline just needs a decision. When you decide, I'm doing this no matter how I feel, you put yourself in a position to win long term, not just feel good short term. Most people quit not because they can't do it, but because they don't feel like it anymore. They start strong, full of energy, telling everybody about their plans. But the moment it gets boring, the moment it gets repetitive, the moment results slow down, they fall off. Discipline is what keeps you moving when the newness wears off. It's what keeps you going when progress is invisible. See, discipline understands something motivation doesn't. Consistency beats intensity. You don't need to go hard one day and disappear the next 6. You need to show up every day, even if it's at half speed. A disciplined person understands that small effort done daily will always outperform a big effort done once in a while. That's how real success is built. Let me be real with you. Discipline will ask you to work on days you don't feel like it. It will ask you to stay focused when you're bored. It will ask you to keep going when you're tired of trying. That's the separating line. That's where champions are made. Because everybody motivated at the beginning, but only disciplined people make it to the end. Discipline also creates momentum. Once you start showing up consistently, something powerful happens. Your confidence grows. Your skills improve. Your mind gets stronger. You stop needing someone to push you because you become self-driven. You don't wait for inspiration. You create it through action. Here's another truth. Discipline trains your mind to stop negotiating with weakness. Most people spend too much time negotiating with themselves. I'll start tomorrow. I'll do it later. I'll try again next week. Discipline shuts that conversation down. Discipline says, there is no debate. We're doing this now. And once you remove negotiation, progress becomes inevitable. And don't get it twisted. Discipline ain't about being harsh with yourself. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about knowing that your future self is depending on the choices you make today. When you show discipline now, you're saving yourself pain later. You're saving yourself from disappointment, from regret, from wondering what could have been. People who rely on motivation live an emotional life. People who rely on discipline live a structured life. And structure creates freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, your money, your habits, and your focus, you gain control over your life. You stop reacting to everything and start directing where your life is going. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel inspired. You just need to be disciplined enough to show up again. And when you do that long enough, motivation will start chasing you instead of the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talking about habits, because your life right now is nothing more than the result of what you do over and over again. Not what you talk about, not what you plan to do, what you actually do consistently. Discipline is the force that turns your intentions into habits and your habits into a lifestyle. That's why discipline will change your life, because it changes what you do every single day. Most people think big change comes from big moments. It don't. Big change comes from small disciplined actions repeated daily. The little choices you make when nobody's watching are shaping your future. The decision to get up 10 minutes earlier. The decision to read instead of scroll. The decision to save instead of spend. The decision to practice instead of procrastinate. None of those choices feel life-changing in the moment. But over time, they change everything. Discipline gives you control over your habits instead of letting your habits control you. Without discipline, habits form by default. You eat whatever convenient. You spend whatever feels good. You waste time without realizing it. And one day you look up and wonder how you got stuck. Discipline puts you back in the driver's seat. It forces you to be intentional about how you live. Here's the truth: habits don't care about your goals. Habits don't care what you want. Habits only respond to repetition. That's why discipline matters more than desire. You can want success all you want, but if your daily habits don't match that desire, nothing will change. Discipline aligns your habits with your vision. And let me tell you something powerful. Discipline removes chaos from your life. When your habits are undisciplined, your life feels messy. You're rushing, you're stressing, you're always behind. But when discipline shapes your habits, your life starts feeling calmer and more focused. You know what you need to do, and you do it. That creates peace. Discipline also rewires your mind. At first, discipline feels hard. It feels uncomfortable. But the more you practice it, the easier it becomes. Your brain starts expecting effort. It starts craving progress. What once felt difficult becomes normal. That's how disciplined people make success look easy They trained their habits so long that effort became automatic. Let me say this clearly, your habits will either build you or break you. There is no neutral. Every habit is either moving you closer to the life you want or further away from it. Discipline helps you choose habits that serve your future instead of satisfying your present. And that choice repeated daily is what separates winners from wishers. You don't need to change everything at once. Discipline starts small. One habit, one choice. One commitment you keep every day. And as you stack disciplined habits, momentum builds, confidence builds, results build. You start realizing you're capable of more than you thought. People look at successful individuals and think they got lucky. They didn't. They just got disciplined with their habits long enough for success to show up. While others were waiting for the perfect moment, disciplined people were quietly building a better life through daily choices. Your habits are your silent partners. They working for you or against you every day. Discipline decides which side they're on. And once discipline takes control of your habits, your life has no choice but to change. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about self-respect and confidence, because people think confidence comes from money, titles, or applause. It don't. Real confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself. And discipline is how you do that. Every time you say you're going to do something and you actually follow through, you deposit in your self-respect account. Every time you don't, you withdraw from it. Most people don't struggle with confidence because they lack ability. They struggle because deep down they don't trust themselves. They've told themselves, I'll start tomorrow, so many times that tomorrow don't mean nothing anymore. Discipline rebuilds that trust. Discipline teaches you that your word matters, especially the word you give to yourself. When you become disciplined, you stop waiting on external validation. You don't need applause to show up. You don't need praise to stay consistent. You know who you are because you've seen yourself do hard things. You've seen yourself show up when it was uncomfortable. That kind of confidence can't be shaken because it wasn't built on opinions, it was built on action. Discipline also changes how you carry yourself. When you know you're putting in the work, you walk different. You speak with more certainty. You stop second guessing yourself so much, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Discipline strengthens your identity. You stop asking, can I do this? And start saying, I'll figure it out. Let me tell you something important. Confidence is earned in private. It's earned in the mornings when nobody's watching. It's earned when you stick to your routine. It's earned when you do what you said you would do even when nobody will ever know about it. Discipline makes you proud of yourself, and that pride shows up as confidence. Self-respect also means setting boundaries, and discipline helps you do that. When you're disciplined, you stop over explaining yourself. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with where you're going. You learn how to say no without guilt because you understand that every yes costs you something. Discipline teaches you to protect your time, your energy, and your focus. And here's the part people don't like. Discipline exposes you. When you lack discipline, you can blame circumstances, you can blame people, you can blame timing, but discipline puts the responsibility back on you. And once you accept that responsibility, you gain power. Power over your habits. Power over your future. Discipline makes you dependable to yourself and to others. People start trusting you. Opportunities come your way because you've proven you can be consistent. But more importantly, you trust yourself. You know that when things get hard, you won't fold. That knowledge creates unshakable confidence. A disciplined person doesn't need to pretend. They don't need to fake it. Their confidence is quiet but solid. It comes from knowing, I'm not going to rely on me. And in a world full of excuses and inconsistency, that kind of self-respect will take you further than talent ever will. When you discipline your actions, Your mind follows. Doubt gets quieter. Fear loses control. And the more disciplined you become, the more you respect yourself. And when you respect yourself, the world has no choice but to respond differently. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about sacrifice, because discipline always asks for a price. There is no version of success that doesn't cost you something. People want the reward, but they don't want to pay for it. They want the outcome, but they don't want the process. Discipline is the willingness to pay the price today so you don't have to live with regret tomorrow. Every disciplined decision is a trade. You are trading comfort for growth. You are trading ease for progress. You are trading what feels good right now for what will feel great later. And that trade is uncomfortable. Discipline will ask you to give up late nights, unhealthy habits, wasted time, and sometimes even relationships that no longer align with where you're going. That's not punishment. Most people choose comfort because it feels safe. Comfort lets you stay where you are. Comfort whispers, you deserve a break, even when you've barely started. Discipline speaks louder and says you deserve better. And better requires effort. Better requires consistency. Better requires sacrifice. Let me tell you something real. Regret is heavier than discipline. Discipline hurts while you're doing it. Regret hurts every time you think about what you could have been. Discipline costs you a season. Regret costs you a lifetime. And when you understand that, sacrifice starts making sense. Sacrifice also reveals what you truly want. If you're not willing to give something up for it, you don't want it bad enough. Discipline forces you to be honest with yourself. It asks, how serious are you? Because serious goals require serious commitment. You can't live the same life and expect different results. Discipline teaches you delayed gratification. In a world where everything is instant, disciplined people stand out. They can wait. They can work without immediate reward. They understand that planting comes before harvest. And because they're willing to wait, they eventually receive what others give up on. There will be moments when discipline makes you feel alone. While others are relaxing, you working. While others are celebrating, you preparing. And in those moments, doubt will try to creep in. But understand this, what you do in silence will eventually speak for you. Sacrifice done in private creates success seen in public. Discipline also teaches you to let go of excuses. When you start sacrificing, you stop blaming circumstances. You stop saying you don't have time, energy, or opportunity. You make time. You manage energy. You create opportunity. That shift changes everything. Here's the truth. Everybody sacrifices something. Some people sacrifice their future for comfort today. Disciplined people sacrifice comfort today for a stronger future. The question isn't whether you'll sacrifice. The question is what you'll sacrifice for. When you accept discipline, you accept that the easy path usually leads to a hard life, and the hard path often leads to an easier life. That understanding gives you strength on days when quitting feels tempting, because you know why you're doing it. Discipline doesn't promise immediate results, but it guarantees progress. And when you look back on your life, the sacrifices you made through discipline won't feel like losses. They'll feel like the reason you made it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you about the decision to live disciplined, because discipline is not something you try. It's something you choose. You don't wake up disciplined by accident. You wake up disciplined because at some point you made up your mind that the way you've been living is no longer acceptable. Discipline begins with a decision, and that decision changes the direction of your life. Most people keep waiting for a perfect moment to change. They're waiting for the right time, the right mood, the right circumstances. That moment never comes. Discipline says, I'm starting now, not next week, not next month. Now, and once you make that decision, everything else becomes clearer. Your priorities change. Your focus sharpens. Your excuses lose power. Choosing discipline means choosing responsibility. It means you stop blaming your past, your upbringing, or your situation. You acknowledge what happened, but you don't live there. Discipline empowers you to say, "This may not be my fault, but it is my responsibility." And that mindset gives you control over your future. Discipline also prepares you for opportunities before they arrive. A lot of people miss blessings because they weren't ready when the moment showed up. Discipline gets you ready. It builds skill. It builds character. It builds consistency. So when opportunity knocks, you don't panic, you perform. Living discipline doesn't mean life becomes easy. It means you become capable. Problems still come, but you handle them better. Pressure still exists, but it doesn't crush you. Discipline strengthens your mind so you don't fold under stress. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. Let me tell you something powerful. Discipline creates freedom. People think discipline limits you, but it does the opposite. When you're disciplined with your money, you gain financial freedom. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain control over your schedule. When you're disciplined with your body, you gain health and energy. Discipline removes chaos and replaces it with order. A disciplined life is not loud. It's quiet. It's steady. It's consistent. You don't announce every move. You just keep showing up. And over time, that quiet consistency builds a life that speaks for itself. People will ask how you did it, and the answer will be simple: you stay disciplined. Discipline also teaches patience. It teaches you to trust the process even when you can't see results yet. It teaches you to keep planting seeds when the ground looks empty. And one day, without warning, things start to grow. That's when people call it luck. But you know it was discipline. When you choose discipline, you choose growth over excuses, responsibility over blame, and progress over comfort. You stop hoping for change and start creating it. And once that choice becomes part of who you are, your life will never be the same. Discipline is not a phase. It's a lifestyle. And when you decide to live disciplined, you don't just change what you do, you change who you become.